Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Café chaos. So we've uncovered some pretty interesting correlations
Yeah.
between sales and foot traffic and the competition and the weather.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've only scratched the surface, right?
Yeah, those correlations give us some clues,
Uh-huh.
but they don't tell the whole story. It's
Right.
like we have a list of ingredients, but we don't have the recipe.
Okay.
We need to know how to put those ingredients together to make the actual dish.
Yeah. How do we get to those sales numbers? What's the recipe?
Right. Yeah.
And thankfully, Mira has the recipe. It's called linear regression.
Okay.
And they've got this notebook called Casual Brew to kind of walk us through it.
Okay, so linear regression, this is like taking it to the next level.
It is.
Right?
It's a really powerful tool that lets us move beyond just identifying the relationships
Yeah.
and actually see how much of an impact they have.
Okay.
So it's like taking those ingredients and figuring out the exact amount you need to bake that perfect cake.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So how does this recipe actually work in practice?
Sure.
I'm looking at the notebook, I'm seeing a lot of numbers and formulas.
Yeah.
It's a little intimidating.
Well, think about it Jazz carefully crafting their latte art.
Okay.
They have their process, they steam the milk, they pull the espresso shot,
Mm-hmm.
they pour it just right to make that perfect design.
Okay, so we're trying to create a latte art formula for sales.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's cool.
And just like Jazz might tweak their technique based on the type of bean.
or the design they want.
Uh-huh.
Linear regression lets us adjust our model
Okay.
based on the data that we have.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So in this notebook, I see that Mira built this linear regression model
Right?
using most of Max's sales data.
Mm-hmm.
So it's they're testing out different blends,
Yeah.
different
yeah.
brewing methods
Exactly.
to find the perfect cup of coffee or the perfect sales numbers.
Yeah, and that's called training the model.
Okay.
We're giving the algorithm all this data so it can learn those relationships between all these variables.
Does it make those connections?
Yeah.
And then we need to test the recipe to make sure it's accurate.
Right, exactly. We've got to make sure it works in new situations.
Yeah.
It's like doing a taste test
Okay.
to make sure the coffee is consistently delicious.
Okay. And in the notebook, I see that Mira set aside some of the data to do just that.
Exactly.
Test it out.
Yep.
Okay. So what did this model tell us?
Well, the first thing we see is this base prediction of -5 sales.
-5 sales.
Yeah.
How is that even possible?
Well, it's just a starting point,
Okay.
and then the model adds or subtracts sales
Go.
based on how each factor is impacting things.
Okay. So we're adjusting the sweetness of a cake.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a basic batter, and then we're adding ingredients.
Right. So, for example, one ingredient is cold weather,
Okay.
and it looks like those chilly days are really hurting sales,
Uh-huh.
knocking off about 12 sales on average.
Okay. So it's adding a tablespoon of lemon juice, and it creates this tartness level.
Right, exactly.
A 5 out of 10 or something like that.
It's all about precision.
Okay.
Right. So then we have each customer adds about 0.73 to sales.
Okay. So the perfect extraction rate
Yeah.
for an espresso shot, not too strong, not too weak.
Just right.
And then there's social media.
Oh, yeah. What about Jazz's videos?
Yeah, all those amazing videos.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out they add a measly 0.13 to sales.
Oh.
So barely a sprinkle of cinnamon on our metaphorical cake.
It's a good reminder that, not all marketing efforts
Mhm.
are created equal.
Right.
It's important to focus on the stuff that's really making a difference.
Yeah, the stuff that's actually driving sales.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
So we have our sales prediction recipe, but how do we know if it's any good?
Right. So we need to look at the R-squared value.
Okay, and in the notebook, I see it's 0.89 and 0.9.
Oh, yeah. Those are good. Those are a thumbs up from the judges.
Okay.
They show that our model is doing a good job fitting the data,
Okay.
meaning it can accurately predict sales based on what we told it.
So case closed.
Well, not so fast.
Oh, yeah.
Remember those residual plots?
Yeah.
They're those subtle hints that tell a barista when their espresso isn't quite right.
So even though the model looks good,
Mm-hmm.
there might be some inconsistencies,
Exactly.
hiding beneath the surface.
Yeah, we need to dig a little deeper.
Okay.
Linear regression is helpful, but it doesn't really tell us why. Why are these sales fluctuating the way they are?
Okay, so we have our recipe, we tasted the coffee,
Mm-hmm.
but we need to understand the brewing process.
Exactly.
It sounds like it's time to get even more advanced.
It is time.
What's next?
We need to enter the world of causal inference.
Uh-huh.
We need to understand not just what's connected, but how those connections influence each other
Okay.
over time.
Sounds intense.